If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell icon to get the latest updates.
So we are discussing in the last session, we discussed about hub versus co-deployment scenarios. Let's give me a quick recap. In how I can actually activate my MDG component in any SAP system. Okay, so there are two options. One is we discussed about co-deployment scenario. Co-deployment. In case of co-deployment, what happens is this is your existing transactional system. Okay, so this is your transactional system where you are creating the orders, you are creating your invoice, all your transactional activities are happening in this SAP system. Now you can actually activate your MDG component by activating the specific business functions on top of your existing ERP system or S4 system. Okay, so in this is what we call it as a co-deployment. Both your transactional activities and master data creation both happens in the same system. So that's why we call it as a co-deployment. Both are deployed in the same system. Okay, so now in this case, the other option is hub scenario. In case of hub, what we do, we don't actually use my existing transactional system for master data. Let this be as a separate system, and I will introduce a separate brand new system, SAP system, which is a kind of S4 or the ECC system. Okay, now I activate my MDG related functionality on top of this particular separate system. Okay, so this I will use it for my master data creation only. Though I have my underlying ERP components in this particular system, I don't use this for any transactional activities. This will be purely for master data creation. So if you look at in this particular hub scenario, if you look at the master data tables, like your Mara table, or else Marcy, or else business partner related tables, or else vendor related tables, LFA1. So all these are the master data which stores your master data. Okay, so these tables will have data because we are creating the master data. But if you look at the transactional data tables like your VBAP, VBAC, whatever your ECC transactional related tables, those will be empty. Okay, we don't create any orders or any transactional related documents in the system. This system will be purely used for your master data creation. Okay, so this scenario we call it as a hub scenario. So, and once you create the master data and you configure that replication process so that the data will be replicated to the respective target systems. So this we call it as a hub scenario. What are the advantages and disadvantages? What are the pros and cons of each of these approaches that we discussed in the last session? Yeah, any questions?
Yeah, actually, so the prerequisite to install MDG is the S4 or ECC, right? So in the hub scenario, should this S4 or ECC have the same setup as the operative S4 and ECC? That is, I mean, the core S4 and ECC, which has been used for the transactional purpose.
Not required. Okay, so you can have a different version here. You can have a different version here. Even in fact, this is my S4 system, my MDG I'm installing on my S4. Okay, but this can be my old legacy ECC version only.
Okay, so if any specific customization respective to the customer or to the project, any customization done on the S4 and ECC, shouldn't that be replicated on the MDG?
You will replicate all, replicate in the sense, let's say, for example, in SPRV, you might be doing you will be doing some setups, right? Your company code configurations or your material type configurations and all that stuff, the reference master data or all the required reference master data configurations, those you need to replicate over here into your S4 system. Okay, so either you do it manually, you create here and here separately, or else you create here and capture under a transport that can be using, we call it as a BC sets or something. Using the BC set concept, you can actually import into this S4 system as well.
Okay.
Okay.
So
there won't be any conflicts, because I have seen that in multiple, even the project currently I'm working. So my transactional system is on ECC side and but where we are we created a new S4 system, we are using it for my master data MDG related ones. So I don't see any conflicts between both of the things. So you can have it. The point here is you can have your MDG hub system in any version, and your transactional system can be legacy or any advanced version. So
No,
there is
I'm not talking about the version. I'm talking about the customization. Shouldn't those customization should be here in
yes,
this? I'm
yeah,
not
that's
talking
true.
about the version.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's true. So the both in terms of your customization, customization related to master data should be in sync in both the systems.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so how do we do, what technique we use to sync it all the time? So that that depends on the approaches. So we can follow. Usually I seen that because these are the one-time activities. So when they were, when I mean they're creating a new plants or something, so they do that in both the systems. Or else sometimes I see that people will be using some BC sets configuration as well to import, do the configuration in one system and import into the another system.
And this would be ongoing practice as and when any additional customization happens in the core. So you
Yeah,
have to repeat the same over here.
that's true. That's true.
Okay, good.
So continuously we need to keep sync both the. Okay, yeah. Any question?
Exactly, when you get the system access,
Okay, so regarding the system access, once we get into the actual topic, right? Maybe not this week, next week. Okay, so once we get into the system and once we start doing some hands-on in the system, that time we will ask a request for the system access, because now the thing is that I'm not sure whether it will be 1 month or 2 months. It depends on some people might require system, some people may be not opted out for systems. So whoever is opted for the system, whether it's a 1 month or 2 months, so once they provide the access, I think the countdown starts, right? 1 month. So what I'm feeling is that basically we can get the request for the system access when actually it is required. Currently we are discussing on the basics, so we don't do much into the system. So that's why maybe we can request next week, if that is okay for all of you.
yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Fine. Any other questions? Okay, fine. So we discussed about how to, enable your MDG on any SAP system, that is a co-deployment versus hub. And we also discussed in the last session that how you can actually activate MDG components by activating your business functions. Okay, so once you activate the business functions, you will actually you can start using those particular functionality. Okay, so this is about hub versus co-deployment and the pros and cons and everything that we discussed in the last session. And after that, the next one is the most important one. This is the technical architecture or architecture overview of your MDG. Okay, so let me make it big. Okay. Now, if you look at this particular, this is what the technical architecture that for MDG. So the central one that you can see here, this particular central one is your MDG system. Okay, as I said, the prerequisite to enable your MDG components on any SAP system is first you should have your the ABAP or ABAP plus your ERP stack. It should be there. So it can be either S4 or ECC, but you should have an ERP and ABAP stack. Both should be there. So this is the prerequisite. On top of this one, once I activate my business functions, the foundation business functions, and customer, material, BP, all the respective business functions, I will by default I'll get the out of box content into my the particular MDG system. Those will be enabled. Okay, now here if you look at this particular this top portion, this particular portion, okay, these are the features or inbuilt components of your MDG. Okay, so you can see here there is a 4 gray color boxes are there. So this represents your staging area of material master. So that means when you activate your MDG material master business function, this particular staging tables gets created. So the staging area represented with using this gray color box. So this is a specific set of staging tables for material master gets generated. Similarly, for finance objects, there will be a separate a set of staging tables will get generated. And similarly, for your business partner, customer, vendor, so this is what the staging area represented with. Apart from this, SAP, you can see here there is a separate one with custom objects. So this custom object is nothing but it MDG also gives you a flexibility that you can also create or you can also configure or probably develop your own master data using MDG functionalities. I mean, it enables to create your own master data. SAP out of box, SAP provided material, BP, customer, vendor, finance objects. Apart from this, everything is a custom object. Even whatever we discussed earlier, there are other objects, Utopia objects are there. We call it as the EAM objects, EAM, and article master. Okay, so these objects are also developed using custom object framework only. That's why SAP is not specifically showing the staging area separately for EAM or article master. That those are covered under custom objects. It's not only these two. I can also create, let's say for example, employee master. I wanted to govern employee master creation process. Also I wanted to govern using MDG functionality. So then also I can actually develop that complete employee master using custom object framework. So we will discuss how we can create our own custom objects as well using MDG. Okay, and there are the standard objects are also there. So these four boxes represents complete your staging area, because this is what it differentiates your master data creation in ECC versus MDG. Because in case of ECC, you only have active area tables. So those active areas tables sitting somewhere here, your Mara, Marcy, those tables. So the data directly gets stored into over here. Whereas with the introduction of MDG, these staging tables will get generated. If from MDG, if I try to create a material or customer, first the data gets stored into my staging tables. It will go for all the review process and everything. Finally, the approved records or finalized records will be moved from my staging area to my active area tables. Okay, so this particular four boxes talks about your complete staging area, how to deal the staging area, how I can extend my material master with custom attributes, how I can create my own custom objects. So everything we will discuss in this particular topic. Okay, so this entire topic we call it as a data model. This one entire one is covered under the first chapter that we have data model. Under data model, we will be discussing about all the what is staging area, what are the entities, relationships, everything we will discuss under this one. After that, you can see there are some for every object there are SAP delivered some out of box UI applications. Okay, so you can actually, last week I showed you that material master UI applications. So those are for material, for business partners, for customers, vendors, finance objects. So for all these things, UI applications are already developed. Okay, all you need to do is the only thing is that we can actually enhance those UI applications as per our business needs. But you will by default, you will get those UI applications for your single object processing, UI applications for your mass processing, UI applications for your data loads. Everything is already available. Okay. Along with that UI applications, SAP also delivered some out-of-box roles. Roles in the sense, let's say, for example, in Material Master, you will be having a steward role, you will be having a kind of approver role, then only the display role, requester role. So likewise, there are different roles are there in master data. When we are talking about the governance process, so the roles and responsibilities will be distributed to different in terms of in different roles. Okay, one is a display role, one is a approver role, one is a steward role. So likewise, okay, so requester role in the sense he can only create a master data, but he cannot approve any requests. Then again, approver role means he can approve the request, he can review the data and he can approve the request. Steward means he is a super authority. So he can actually create the data, he can change the data, he can approve the data. So those are usually the SMEs or the experts. We will create there will be separate roles for them. So in our organization, we will identify different agent groups. There might be some user group comes under requester. There might be some agent groups comes under approver roles, some under steward roles. So those roles are also SAP created as an out of box. What are those roles? I'll just show you quickly. We will discuss more in terms of these roles. But if I go to, let's say, for example, PFCG. Okay, so let's look at MDG M star. So all material master related, it's a MDG. M indicates it's a material master. So when I do as such F4, okay, you can find here MDGM display 03. This is display means it's a display role. This 03, 04, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 indicates as SAP delivered different new roles during in the later in respect to releases. Maybe this is an old one, and maybe after that SAP, when SAP releases the latest version. Similarly, in the business functions also, we have foundation 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 11. So in every release, SAP is creating a new version of that display or those roles, and they're adding these numbers. Menu doesn't get changed. It's all the time. It's the same thing. All the updates will be, recent changes also will be there under the same menu. Okay. Similarly, you have requester roles. Okay. If you go down, you have specialist role, which is nothing but approvers. You will have some steward roles. Okay. So likewise. Now,
Akshay, okay, the roles now, is it based on the version that they have it, or they should have from 1 to the latest version as well? How is it?
when you
See,
actually,
if I look at here, the special approver and requester, they have it for 03, 04 until 09, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So in material master, for material master, we have business functions, different business functions. So let me quickly show you that. Just SFW file. Just give me a minute. Okay.
What's the transaction code you went here?
SFW5, where we can look at all the business functions.
SFW5, right?
Yeah, yeah. So in SFW5, I think I showed you in a couple of sessions back, maybe in first or second session. Okay, so what happens is in SFW5, you will be having, if you look at a material master business function, it's not one function, business function. There are multiple business functions are there. So it starts from material 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 10 or 7 or 8. Okay, so those different business functions are SAP really created all the latest features or new changes, and they put it under the delta changes under a new business function. And after that, when SAP release one more release, in that new release, maybe in SAP S4 2020, 2021, 2022, likewise, whenever they release a version, in that one, they are capturing the latest changes under a new business function. Okay, so as part of that business function, you will also get the latest role.
So like it will be having the older version continued with the latest version, correct?
Yeah, yeah. So business functions will be there. You need to activate all the business functions. Along with that one, you'll also get all the latest roles from one to the latest one. What you need to choose is always you can look at the latest role, because of the latest. Okay. Now again, what happens is this is actually security. What they do is they don't directly assign this particular. Let's say you have a requester role 09. This is the latest role. So security, usually they don't assign directly this role to the requester agent group. What they do, they create a copy of Z role. They create one Z role, and they copy this 909 role into a Z role, and in the G role or Y role, they will keep only the required authorizations only. Okay, so if you use this requester as is 09, let me show you, just give me a minute. If I go to requester, we have I'll take a separate session on this security roles, but just to give you an idea. So in this one, for the requester, he will have what change request types you wanted to use. Everything will be there, like with star condition. But usually, if you look at FMDM, this is for the master data governance. So if you look at expand this. Okay. So what happens here? There is something called change request type in MDG. For every master data, whenever you wanted to create a change, we need to have some change request type associated, which we will discuss it later. This controls a lot of governance aspects. Okay. Now, as out of box, you get some standard out of box CR types. Now we wanted to create our own CR types, Z or Y CR types, and we wanted to use that one. But currently, if you look at this one, it's a star condition, whether it is a standard or Z or Y. But usually security will create a copy of this particular role, and here they will mention the CR type should be this requester role can access Z star or Y star CR type. So something like that. So basically SAP provides this as a reference for us, this role. Whether you wanted to use the role as is or you wanted to create a copy of into your local as per your needs and configure as per your requirement, that is up to us. But
so the visibility of the role is dependent on the business function which you are activating, right?
Exactly, that's true.
Okay.
Okay. So
thank you, Akshay.
yeah. So likewise, that is about the roles, right? What we are talking, just give me a minute. Okay, so we will discuss, all the roles and everything we will discuss. Okay, UI applications are I showed you in the last session. Of course, in the next coming sessions also, we will be working here on this one. But the point here is you get out of box UI applications, out of box roles, and the work centers are nothing but your inbox. When you go to the home page, material master home page, the default content that you get in your inbox, like which are the requests that are pending for your approval. So all those work centers where users can go there, navigate there, and they can take some actions. Those inbound work centers, everything will be out of box, you get it. And similarly, the workflows, SAP delivered some out of box workflows for all the masters, and we can also create our own workflows. So the complete workflow framework will be made available as part of your MDG. Staging is nothing but this is the overall staging area that is SAP provides. So that also we will be discussing. And after that, you have something called validations. So these validations are usually what happens when I'm creating a master data based on my SPRO configuration that I set up in the backend. So there will be certain validations will happen on the while creating the master data. One example is for material types, FERT material types, or for FERT material types, I configured it as a what do you call the internal number range. So then what happens when I'm creating a material, as soon as I select my FERT material type, automatically system will propose a number, internal number. I cannot enter my external number. Similarly, for this particular material types, these are the attributes that are mandatory. For the other, okay, so likewise, there are some SPRO configurations that you will set up in the backend. So those are kind of validation that ensures that when you are creating master data, the data should create as per the rules that you defined in the backend, as per the configuration that you defined in the backend. So these are your whatever the SPRO configuration you have done in the backend, since your MDG sits always on top of your ECC or your ERP layer, so all your SPRO configurations will be considered and it will be executed when you are creating a master data using MDG. So this is fine. As per these rules are as per your SPRO configuration you set up. Additionally, also business wants to define their own rules. Okay, so those are business specific rules. Those rules are very specific to the business, not a generic one. Okay, so in that case, your MDG also provides a framework where you can define your own business rules. Okay, you can, when I say the business rules, it can be either validations or it can be derivations. Validation in the sense, in MDG, you can create a rule saying that when my material type is equal to this one, my ABC indicator should be this value. So likewise, you can actually define certain rules in MDG. So only when that particular condition met, your material will get created. Otherwise, the requester cannot submit the request, or the approver cannot approve the request, or even the material won't get created. So likewise, you can define certain rules in MDG. MDG provides a flexibility to define or to set up your own business specific rules. This is one thing. And again, other one is the derivations. Derivation in the sense, let's say, for example, I'll try to create a material. Okay, so these are again the same rows which I was showing. Okay, so if you go to, I'm going to the menu 09, which is the latest one. So this is the home page for my material master. So I wanted to create a material. So let's go to search materials. So when I'm creating a material, I'll set up a rule derivation saying that every material by default, it should get extended to these 3 default plans. Okay, so that means whenever you get into a create scenario, create mode of this particular material, which is equivalent to your MM01 transaction, these change request types we will discuss in process modeling topic.
So everything starts with a search in MDG. Creation.
In general, but without getting into such application also, you have that. Let me show you here. If I go to home page, there is a link to create material. Directly, it will take you to the creation screen. This is also there.
So, no, what I'm trying to ask is, what is the first step? Like first thing happens, it's a change request creation or a this thing search. Which is the first thing starts with?
Yeah, actually it depends on, like, I mean, you wanted to edit an existing material, right? So usually we go with always with the search screen. Okay, so let me show you. When I click on the search material,
yeah,
okay, so here I can search the materials, or else I can search the materials. Okay, let me click on search. I'll get some result. If I wanted to edit any existing material, always I'll come back to search material and I'll look at that material number. I'll search the material. Once it gets, it comes into my result here like this. Now, okay, so for example, this is the material I'm looking. From here, I'll open this material in display mode. And after that, I can actually initiate a change process for this material. Or else I can also directly create a new material. Or else I can copy the select. I can create a new material by copying this, by taking this as a reference material. Or we can initiate mass processing. So your search application is one stop for all your different activities that you can perform here. That's why most of the time we usually come to the search screen, and from there we do the respective activity. But that doesn't mean that always for creation I need to come to this one. For creation, I can directly, if at all
Actually,
I wanted to create a material, I can directly. Okay, is it better now?
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay, so I can also directly click on create material and I can directly navigate to the material creation screen. Or else I wanted to approve some request, I can.
So, but irrespective of whether you create or change a material, you should have a change request, right?
Yes, that's true. So that is mandatory. Your entire governance process revolves around the change request concept.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll discuss more about the change request functionality. Okay, so now what I'm trying to say here is, yeah, any questions?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, you have click on the role 009. After that, you come to the create material screen, right? So we have a different roles, Z demo and Z something. So if we click on that that role, so again we have to see the same screen, or we will get the different screen.
Yeah. So I got it. Let me go back and I'll show you again. Okay. So when you search, click on search.
Before this screen, you have click on first role, right? There's so many roles there. You have click on 009.
Okay, okay. You are talking about the other one, right? Let me just give a minute. NWBC. So this is basically to get into your NetWeaver business client, where you can actually browse your applications and everything. Okay, so now you can see here whatever these are the roles. My user has authorization to these particular roles, all these roles. Okay, so if I don't find any role, I have a search screen from there, so I can find the material, the role. But this is nothing but your PFCG role only. If at all I wanted to get into the material master homepage, I will use this one. Or else, let's say, for example, let me show you one more thing.
If you click on the Z1, then Z demo.
Where is that Z demo? Okay, so this is a different role. We don't know what is this role for, but let's click on this one. It may be, so nothing is there. I mean, it's nothing. Someone has just created an empty role.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so let's say, for example, this is the role that I have for material master. Okay, now I can also navigate. Let me show you. Where is that? Let's look at business partner one, MDG. Let's say, for example, supplier, MDG S star F4. Okay, you can see all these are supplier related roles. So now here also you'll have something called menu. The latest one is probably menu 04. So what I can do is I can copy this role. Here I can put, instead of this one, this role. And though even I enter here, if I have access to this particular role, then only when I click this one, it will take me to the supplier homepage. If I don't have access, it says that you are not authorized. So this is supplier homepage, how it look like, vendor or supplier governance. Here there is no create supplier. Always for business partner, customer, vendor, SAP intentionally didn't provide any create link over here. Always you have to navigate to search application. From search application only you need to click on new creation or something. The reason is SAP makes it that you makes a habit of first search before you wanted to create. Before creation, search for the supplier if that might exist. So that's where
it's
actually
kind of a duplicate check
exactly.
on prior.
Yeah. You can avoid duplicate creations.
Yeah.
That's true. For material master, they provided. Okay, so that's fine. We can also add that create supplier there itself via homepage design that we will talk about later. But the point is, whatever you when you click on NWBC, those are the roles that you are seeing. You have authorization. Okay, from there you can navigate to the respective home pages. Okay.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
what is the significance of how is it NWBC and Fiori both are what is the role they play in this MDG?
Yeah. Okay. So now if you look at this one, architecture. Okay, so here user interface. This user interface is nothing but it talks about your FPM applications. FPM applications. So the FPM application means
Floor plan manager.
floor plan manager. So that is whatever that NWBC I'm access. These FPM applications I can access using the NWBC. So all that FPM applications that SAP delivered out of box, those applications I can those roles via roles I can access those applications using NWBC only. Okay, now your Fiori, this is for creation or change or performing any bulk operation, all those things. Basically it provides an access to your master data, whether it can be for search or anything. In the same way, SAP also come up with Fiori based applications. So that is a different. Here you log into, you access these applications using NWBC. But here for Fiori, there is a separate transaction code /n/UI2/ FLP, Fiori Launchpad, Fiori Launchpad. How similarly we are accessing using NWBC, your Fiori applications can be accessed via using this FLP, Fiori Launchpad. There, once you log into Fiori Launchpad, there it shows in terms of tiles. Okay, so let me show you.
Will that be covered here, Akshay? The Fiori?
Yeah, yes, we'll be covering that.
Yeah, thank you.
This is Fiori based application, what I'm opening.
So are we still using, like, even though we moved into S4, are we still using NWBC?
Yeah, we are using. In fact, what happens is, even this is my Fiori homepage. Here I can see, maybe it takes a couple of minutes to load, but I can see what are the roles. Based on my roles, I can see all the applications that I can access. Those applications, all the applications that you see on the Fiori Launchpad are not pure Fiori applications. Some of them are your NWBC FPM applications only. So what SAP has done is, the same FPM applications, instead of calling from accessing from NWBC, you can also integrate with your Fiori Launchpad. So here I can access my Fiori applications as well as my NWBC applications also, that search application, create material, those also will get displayed as a tiles over here. But when I click at search application, search material application from this particular tile, it will take me to the Fiori, NWBC application only.
So is
I
there
have
any
a question here. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
is there any specific thing or anything that can be only possible with NWBC? I cannot do it on the Fiori.
Okay, so it's what happened is, in NWBC, SAP delivered the FPM applications to perform all the activities, like you can search, or you can perform data import framework, or you can perform file upload, file download. All those applications are SAP delivered. So those applications, equivalent to those, you don't have any Fiori applications. But in Fiori also, I will access I'll call the same applications. Okay, but there are certain Fiori native applications are there for your material display purpose or for your material change or create purpose. Very few applications SAP delivered as a native Fiori applications. Rest of them all are integrated in your Fiori tiles. That's it. Let me show you such.
So need not to have an SAP logon and to be logged in the laptop or something else, like, right?
Exactly.
So basically, you can access it from any device. Yeah.
Yes. You can actually search it. Takes let's see, it shows some results. Because many people under impression that, okay, Fiori has everything, but the catch here is, everything in the sense they developed a few native Fiori applications, but rest of all the existing FPM applications only they just added as a tiles over here. So you will have all in one place, your Fiori apps, your FPM applications, everything is all in one place. That's the only advantage that you get it. But otherwise, I still see many people will log into NWBC and they do some activities over there.
So which is the tool, then what is the best practice or recommendation for the UI enrichment?
It's just a launching pad, right? So if I add all the required, what I will do is usually in any project, okay, so you have a requester role. Let's say, for example, you have a requester role. Okay, requester, as part of the requester, he wants to search some of materials. He wants to create a material. He wanted to change material. He wanted to display material. Okay, and so what I will do is, maybe for create material, if there is a native Fiori application, I'll create a role. Under this particular role, I create a Fiori catalog. That Fiori catalog contains these 4 apps. Out of these 4 apps, maybe this is a FPM app. This is native Fiori app, and again this is a native Fiori app, and this is again kind of FPM application. So I create one single catalog. Under that catalog, I'll include all these as a tiles. Whether in turn, whether it is calling actual Fiori application or FPM application, that actually user, they are not actually, they don't recognize that one. All for them, if you look at this particular one, so this is one app, this is one role or catalog. Under this one, these 2 apps are there. When I click this app, it can take it to the native Fiori app, or it can take me to the actual ECC transaction code, or it can be take me to the FPM application also. Let me, okay, let's if there are any MDG specific catalogs are there, just give me. Manage product master data.
Can you check BP?
Consolidation for product data is also there.
Product material governance. Okay, so when I click material governance, okay, you can see here under this particular material governance, these are the 4 tiles are there, and these are also different apps. Okay, now since this is in my Fiori launchpad, I provided these are the apps that this requester or this user can access all the time. Now out of this, not all the apps are Fiori apps. Let's say, for example, let me show you this manage material governance, not this one. Let's try. Let me click this. Okay, now you look at this one. This is your FPM application. This is not a Fiori application. I'll show you the same application in here as well. Just a minute. See, this application I came to from my NWBC. From NWBC, let me just show you here again. I opened this home page, search supplier. When I click that one, search supplier, it is calling a Fiori application. This is from my NWBC. Okay, see here, this is my search method, search criteria, and result. The same thing from Fiori also. I came to the same kind of one. If I go back, so this is the one where, what is this? Manage material governance, right? So when I click this one, it is in the backend. It calls my material master search application only. This is the material master search application. So when I click this one, okay. So what happens is, what they say, I mean, you can, when you are actually configuring these kind of home pages for the customers, we will do it in Fiori only. Okay, but that doesn't mean all these apps are the native Fiori apps. There are certain apps which have the native Fiori apps. Okay, but this is an FPM application I integrated over here. Okay, so for the business users, once they log into from their mobile, right, they can see these apps and they can access these apps. But when they click this one, we cannot give guarantee that this application is portable for them to display in their the device, because this is not a Fiori app. But there are certain core Fiori applications are there. Let me click on this master data product process overview. First time when you access, it takes some time. Okay, so this is a native Fiori app. You can see here, this is a native Fiori application. It shows some your change request, some kind of report, audit report. How many change requests are there with my participation? How many of them are open? How many of them are approved? So this is not FPM application. It's a pure Fiori application. So I cannot call this Fiori application in my NWBC, but in the Fiori Launchpad, I can integrate, or I can actually put everything as a tile over here. I can also call my MM01 transaction code as well over here. So the main reason is this home pages, right, where the launching pad for the business users, we can configure in Fiori, and you can, whether if there is a native Fiori app, you can add that as a tile, or else if there is an FPM application, that also we can add it as a tile, and we can, from here, we can call the FPM application. All these, whatever you see, file upload, create mass change request, all these are FPM applications only. So SAP, they added it as a tiles over here. Clear? But there are, if you look at this one, so I mean, to answer your question of whether we wanted to use Fiori or NWBC, these days what I see is most of the time we configure these catalogs and we give it as a Fiori Launchpad, or we give it as a Fiori kind of thing to the requesters. Okay, I will show you how we can actually integrate, how we can create the catalogs, and how I can add all the required tiles onto that catalog for the business users. So those things I'll explain it. Okay, but
so
what,
how will I know that if suppose a screen has to be enhanced, right? So how will, as a functional consultant, how will you know that whether it has to be done on a NWBC, that is on the FPM, or it should be on the Fiori, native Fiori?
Okay, so if you really wanted to enhance on a native Fiori, we have a lot of limitations with that one. Usually all these enhancements, we do it on FPM applications only. SAP has provided a lot of flexibilities, lot of customizations, everything, where you can control it we can do a lot of enhancements via customization without writing code using in FPM applications. So on Fiori side, for every small thing also, it's a kind of development, and it is not that much user friendly when it comes to that enhancements. So that's why most of the time we do the enhancements on the FPM application, and we link that FPM application on the Fiori Launchpad as a tile. Okay, fine. So now there are two type of, for us to at very high level to categorize into two different things. One is your FPM applications, which we are going to discuss, and we also have Fiori applications. Using both, we can actually access your master data. Okay, we discussed about roles and work centers. SAP also delivered certain workflows of workflow framework specific to MDG, which we will be discussing under the workflow topic. Staging area is our first topic under data model. We'll be discussing the staging area. Validations also, SAP provided a framework for us to write validations and derivations at MDG layer level. So what are the validations, derivations that you are writing while creating the master data? Those will be applicable only when you are creating the master data using MDG framework. If you are directly creating from the backend, so your MDG rules won't get executed. Okay, so again, I just wanted to see, this is your MDG system, where this is your ECC or S4 layer. Okay, and this is your MDG layer. So SAP provided a framework validations for validations and derivations. SAP provided a framework here. So this, all the rules that I defined under this validations, derivations will get executed only if I log into either MDG, whether it can be NWBC or Fiori. If I log into that application and if I try to create or change a material, so that every data, every change or every your change process will go through your the rules, and only the valid once the rules are get executed, and if there are no errors, and all the derivations will further enrich your master data, and those records will get created into your ECC layer. But if I'm logging into MM01 transaction code, and if I create a material, because this is there in MDG framework. So when you are creating something using MM01, so those rules won't get executed. And this is, we call it as a kind of leak, right? So basically we are not taking it through this particular rule process. So that's why we cut down all that, we lock down all the transaction codes, which actually changes your master data. It can be your MM01 and MM02. So that it will
I think your connection is,
Your voice is not clear,
your voice is
actually.
breaking.
change process should happen from MDG layer only. Oh, okay. Is it better now?
Still a bit disturbances there.
Still?
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay. Yeah. So what I'm trying to, let me just repeat it. So all this framework validations or derivations framework is available as part of your MDG. That is what you can see in this architectural diagram also. It is available in your MDG, not in your ERP or under this layer, right? So if I create any master data using directly the respect to ECC transaction codes, SAP GUI transaction codes, these rules won't get executed. So that's why we always cut down or we lock down the transaction codes, which actually changes your master data. Because it should be only single source. Your master data should create from MDG. You cannot have multiple sources. One is I will change the master data using the respect to MM02 or SAP specific transaction codes, and I will also do the changes at MDG layer. So that will actually conflict. That's why all the master data creation change process has to via MDG. So we lock down all these transaction codes.
Will there be a situation where the local S4 gets like separate enhancements apart from the MDG one?
Local S4 means, what do you mean by?
Suppose say that from you are having a you are creating a material in MDG, and it is replicated to the S4, right? And on the S4 side, you need to further enhance something. It could be in different locations. Based on the locations, you need to do some enhancements.
Yes, that's true. That is actually a good point. Okay, so usually what happens? Let me just explain here.
Yeah, can you just repeat what was that?
Okay, so let me explain that so that you will understand that. After that, still, if you have doubt, you can repeat his question. Okay, so this is your MDG system. You have a target system here, another target system here. Okay, so there is a concept called the global attributes versus local attributes. That means from MDG, I'm creating a material centrally. That means the material should be consumable by these two target systems. So that means all the global attributes will be maintained via MDG. So I'm creating a material here, let's say for example, pump. Okay, I'm creating a material called pump over here. So while creating this material, I'll maintain all the common attributes usually, which is required by both the systems. But once I replicate this particular data, okay, assume that you have a scenario where in this particular target system for the same material, you need some couple of attributes, Z1, Z2 attributes. So these attributes are very much required only in this target system. These attributes are not required in target system 2. So we call these as the local attributes. Ideally, I can actually populate this information while creating this material over here itself. But this is not a good practice because these attributes are not required by T2 system, right? So that means usually what we do is we don't actually create this data here. Only I'll create only these global attributes. And once the data gets replicated here, okay, during that material creation process or change process here, I will do some derivations based on my this particular local system. this is best practice. It's not mandatory. I can still create many people. Let's say, for example, here I need Z1, Z2, and here I need Z3, Z4 attributes.
Yeah.
Some people, what they do, they create all those attributes here itself, Z3, Z4.
Mm-hmm.
So you likewise, you will have 3 or 4 or 10 systems, and each system has its own number of attributes. So if you consider all the requirements of that particular target systems, right, your size of that material will be very huge.
Okay, so in the situation where the T1 or T2 has the ability to enhance that particular thing, will this T1 and T2 also has the accessibility to modify global attributes in the T1 and T2?
We actually we need to make them as a read only. Ideally, we should not give that authorization or to edit the data. So let's say, for example, what happens, you have a global attribute. Let's say, for example, authorization group. There is an attribute called authorization group. Okay, so this authorization group, initially I maintained ZABC value. And this data went over here, and here it again ZABC. It while that material get created, you have this authorization group as ZABC. Now someone modified this ZABC to ZXYZ here. If they have one authorization, they directly went to MM02 and they modified this one. Okay. Now this change won't get reflected over here. Okay. In my T2 system still have ZABC only. Okay, now the person actually logged in and someone edited some other attribute. Maybe let's say, for example, material description they changed here, description. So this time also your replication will go to your data update will go to both the systems. So during this one also will get carry forward to your T1, and it will again replace back with the ZABC.
Just a sec. I got that scenario. Now say that just a step back where the T1, the person has changed the value, right? And now there is a change request coming from T1 on one of the global attributes, right? So you said that whenever a change request is created, this data has to be loaded into the, in the staging area, right?
Yeah.
So from where the data will be loaded in the staging area? From the global or from the,
from here, from the system. Okay. So
that would be the source of truth. Okay.
Exactly, because this is my MDG system. This is my active area, Maramasi table. This is my staging area. Okay. So it will always load from here to here if you do a search or if you try to edit. So there is no read from any of these systems. There is no, this direction is not possible usually. Okay. So always for your MDG, for any edit scenario, it will consider that this particular data and it will load into your staging area, and on top of that one, the users can make modifications. And again, once they update or once your CR is approved or corrected, that updates will get it will again update your changes onto this record, and this record now will move to the target systems. Clear?
So when the setup, when in a landscape, you need to have a global ERP which will maintain the source of truth in such a scenario, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
So again, the concept which I explained here, global versus local attributes, it is not a technically, it's a mandatory kind of thing. It's a best practice that we follow, that on MDG side, when it comes to the data extension, or when it comes to that attributes, which attributes we wanted to govern for material master. So that's where we take a call. And if there are some custom attributes we need to enhance to include in your material governance, then we need to carefully take a call whether it is really required to maintain to govern these attributes in MDG system, versus if those are very specific or very localized attributes to a particular target system, why can't they actually maintain these attributes on their side? Okay, so that depends on the decision. We can actually take a call, but yeah, we have this concept of global versus local thing, and accordingly we follow that approach. Okay, so fine. So is that clear? Any questions, Anupama, you have?
I'm good now, Akshay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So after this, we talked about there is a framework provided at SAP MDG side where we can have business rules we can define at MDG layer. Okay. In addition to that one, we have this change request concept, which we are going to discuss under process modeling. And we also have these search applications, and we also have some data quality related things. UI framework is where we can create our own UI applications. So you can see here, there are out-of-box UI applications are there for out-of-box objects. And similarly, the UI framework, using this particular framework, you can create your own UI applications, and it allows you to extend or you customize the out-of-box applications in MDG. Okay, and there are certain analytical reports are also available. So these analytical reports basically very helpful in terms of for the business users. Okay, how many requests got approved within SLA, how many does met SLA, how many doesn't met SLA, and who changed what are the by tracking your change documents. So you can generate all kind of reports. Okay, so those are out of box reports are already available. Yep.
Just one question coming to this analytics part. So yes, I understood that you said you can take the report out of it, but when you're taking the report, is there a possibility that that the material is already in process with another change request process, that report can be extracted or something like that?
Yep, you can extract that one.
So is that a part of NWBC or Fiori app, Akshay?
We have in multiple places. So there is a NWBC apps are there, even Fiori app are also there.
Okay. So you mean to say in NWBC also you can have a report where find a list of CRs or a material or whatever the objects which are already in process with one of the existing CRs, correct?
That's
because
true.
usually what happens when the business is trying to do, it will be stuck and they will not be knowing that the object is already locked with another CR.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So this is whatever I'm showing, right? This is a native Fiori app. Okay, so this also gives a kind of a view. Okay, so for this particular user, how many created by me? Okay, by this particular user, there are 14 CRs created by this particular person. Okay, out of 14, 11 are in open status, 3 are already approved. Okay, so then you can look at that based on the change request statuses. Okay, when I'm creating a material, right, using this governance process, so I submit that request. It can be there at multiple stages. It can be pending with finance department, or it can be already approved, or it can be with the procurement department. So there are different stages are there in your workflow. Once the requester create that initiate the process until it completes, in between you can have n number of stages. So or a number of statuses. So those you can actually look at all at what stage what requests are there. And you can also see within 48 hours, older than 48 hours, how many requests are there. Okay, so likewise you can get all the visualization, complete visualization. So these are the standard out-of-box apps, analytical apps only. In the backend, in as part of MDG, there is a kind of the analytical framework is enabled, which will actually pull the data and show it to you over here. And this is especially.
But this is in Fiori, right?
Yeah, this is Fiori. In the same way, we also have some analytical apps in NWBC as well. Let me show you here quickly. If I go to search this supplier governance, there are some analytical reports are also there in Fiori. Okay, so these are the analysis of change request process. These are a process based on the processing time in a list view, graphical view. We can download all these reports, which will give you the idea of how many requests related to change request process. This is also one kind of analytical report. Okay, so we have both. We will see what are the already out-of-box apps are there in Fiori and what in NWBC we have. Okay, but so the point I'm just, because when I don't want it to simply say, okay, all these things are there. So when I try to correlate this analytical terminology with the apps that if I show you as a glimpse, you will understand this one. Okay. Similarly, you have something called data replication. So this replication is basically once you create the master data, you wanted to replicate to your target systems, to your how many target systems that you configured. So it depends on that one, you wanted to replicate the data. So this covered under data replication framework. Similarly, under data replication framework only, there is a small concept called key value mapping. So this key value mapping is because in general, what happens is when you are dealing with multiple systems. Okay, so this is my MDG system. In MDG system, this is my target system, and I also have another target system. Okay, so I created a material here, 100 material. Now when this material replicated to target system T1, here there are two possibilities are there. One is the same material will get created with the same number, or else it can create with a new number. Because all this is depends on the number range configure that you configure in this particular system. If the material number is same, there is no issue, because even when I try to send any update scenario, it go and it simply updates the same material. But the problem comes is instead of this same material number depends on the number range object. If the material here it gets created with something x100, similarly the same material when it replicated to here, it creates another material called y100. That means your keys are not same in source and target. Okay, so when I send next time when I send any update scenario, then what happens, it should go and update x100. So how my MDG system knows that I need to go and update this particular material. Similarly, how it knows that, okay, I need to update my y100. Okay, so that means there should be a mapping between your source and target keys. So that will be handled via key mapping functionality. So this is one of the feature in MDG. Using key mapping functionality, we can enable this one. It's just a plug and play. You can just simply activate a couple of things so that this functionality will get enabled and you can start using it. So this we will be discussing under the data replication framework only, because when you are replicating this master data, all these are the features that SAP provided. Okay. Similarly, you also have something called value mapping configuration. Value mapping in the sense, let's say for example, you are dealing with countries. Here, the country I'm configuring it as US. It can be here USA. It can be here something else. Okay, so the same country will be represented with something else here. Okay, so that means the concept remains same, your key mapping concept, but here for the non-key fields, this is for the non-key fields for your reference master data. Example, it can be like when your material groups, you will have one set of material groups here, one set of material groups here. So in this case, you cannot have that material groups represented by either of these one. You will have your own set of material groups over here. But when you are replicating to this target system, you will maintain some kind of mapping. So the material group, let's say material group 1 will be translated or transformed into probably here material group 10 here. Here also it will be maybe transformed into material group 20. So something like that. So this is a kind of translation or transformation. A feature is also available that we call it as a value mapping. That we will discuss. Key mapping, value mapping are the important topics under data replication, which we will be discussing over here. Okay. So now, so you have an NWBC component. You also have a Fiori component, which you can using which you can access your all MDG related master data or any features, your change request or anything. Okay, so this is what we get as part of your the central box MDG. And on the right hand side, you see here all these are the target systems where you can distribute the data, master data. Okay, you can distribute to any ERP system, CRM, SRM, or it's a SAP system or non-SAP system or cloud systems or any non-SAP systems as well. So this on the right hand side, this talks about your target system or master data distribution. On the left hand side, you see something called optional integrations. So that means simple example, you have something called information steward. Okay, your information steward can SAP MDG provided a flexibility integration point where you can integrate your information steward with MDG. So what is the purpose of information steward? So it is actually kind of a data quality tool where actually you can define certain rules inside this information steward, and you can run those rules on the existing data of your any SAP or non-SAP system. So this tool will run all the rules on your database, and whatever the records which are not actually doesn't meet those rules, so those records it will capture and it will give you kind of visibility that these are the records doesn't actually doesn't match with your the rule that we created. So this is a kind of data quality aspect. From MDG, you can we have this validation framework. Okay, but this will be only when you are creating a new master or when you are changing, whenever you are doing some changes to master data, these rules will apply. But what about the data that is already available in my system? Because as part of my data migration, I already loaded the data. So those data I may or may not be taken through the MDG governance process. So in that case, how I wanted to validate the data. In that case, you can, some people will use this information steward. But what slowly as part of in last couple of years, MDG come up with a kind of a tool called DQM, Data Quality Management Tool. Okay, so this is exactly replacement for your information steward. Okay, so this is your MDG specific or SAP specific tool. This is a non-SAP specific tool. So the integration is a little challenge. Whereas if you are using DQM, integration is very simple. It's an inbuilt tool, one of the edition. Okay, so these are likewise you can actually configure n number of optional ones. This is one example. It's an optional, not a mandatory one. Similarly, you have something called, you wanted to make a call to your DNB, Duns and Bradstreet, to get the Duns IDs for suppliers or customers. So in that case, while creating my customer or supplier, I wanted to connect to DNB, which is an external system, and I wanted to get the Duns IDs and update my master data, do an derivation automatically. Okay, I wanted to further enrich the data by deriving my Duns IDs. Okay, so these are the kind of optional. So your MDG can also integrate with these kind of optional third party or non-SAP systems for further data enrichments or maybe for any data quality aspects. Okay, so the left side part talks about that one, right side part talks about your data distribution. The center is your core MDG, which we are going to discuss in this particular course. Each and everything is a topic or a chapter for us in this course. Okay, so any questions on this?
No, I'm good.
Okay, do you have something related to this in the internet? Because for me, it's going bouncer. So do you have something to read in details, all these things?
Read in the sense
in the Google we have some documents and some PPT
on which
and some
topic, on which topic?
Just now whatever you explained, the interface, roles and all these things, staging tables, finance.
Okay, so this actually our part of our course only. Tomorrow's our next topic will be the first topic in this one. This is what we are going to discuss. This is what we are going to discuss.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the complete course that I just gave you a kind of overview here. But if you look at this one, you can see your data model talks about your complete staging. This talks about your UI applications, FPM applications and everything. Your change request, workflows, everything we will be discussing under process modeling topic. Your validations, derivations, your duplicate check, your search application configurations, everything will be discussing over here. And data replication, key mapping, value mapping, filters, everything will be discussing over here. Your data loads, we will be discussing over here, mass processing and everything. Okay, you have technically the MDG APIs, programmatically, how I can actually create a CIAS, how can I run some processes programmatically. So we will touch base some ones. Okay, the roles which I explained will be discussing over here. The DQM and consolidation also will be discussing over here. So all these are the topics for us. So I'm just giving a kind of overview how the course should look like and what are the things that we are going to discuss in as part of this particular course. Okay, so you will get, I think by end of this course or maybe after maybe 4 or 5 sessions, you will understand that, okay, we are going to learn each and everything. Okay, so no need to again Google and get all these ones, because even if you Google it also, probably it's a kind of, it gives a kind of overview, but we are going to discuss in detail each and every topic.
Okay, Akshay, thank you.
Okay, yeah, great. Okay, so this is the complete architecture. Now, again, when it comes to what are the master data that I can govern using MDG, what is the scope, what are the master data that are there in the scope of MDG? So this is the kind of high level. The complete material master, we can govern using MDG. All the finance objects, BP, supplier, customer, BP, supplier and customer, and contract accounts and those things. Okay. And these are the from SAP as part of that solution extensions. So SAP partners provided this additional master data. EAM, we call it as a EAM solution, Enterprise Asset Management Solution. Under that, here they highlighted only 3 objects: equipment, functional location, bill of material. But there are around 12 objects are there, so that you can task list and everything, whoever. But these are the main objects. Okay. So there are some other small objects are also there, which are very specific to plant maintenance module. Okay. And this is article master. This is okay. Similar to your material master, when you enable your retail solutions, okay, IS retail component on your any SAP system, that's where we will get or you can start creating your articles. MM01 is for material creation, MM41 or 51 is for article creation. So this is your MDG governance version of that article master. Okay, so these are already available as an out-of-box solutions where we can actually get the license and start using configuring as per our business needs. Apart from all this, whatever you think of any other master data, that will be comes under our custom object framework. Okay, so you can think of plant, you can think of WBS element, you can think of employee master, anything, whatever you feel that, okay, so this is a master data in my organization. So then that's what I said, that's the reason SAP provided a generic framework where you can create, you can develop your own masters. So you can create a staging tables for that, you can create a UI applications, you can create a change request process and everything. Okay, so now this entire course, how actually there are 2 use cases I'm just basically taking. One use case is we will create one custom object. Okay, so because already material master, BP, all those things are there. So instead of explaining what is there on material master, always I prefer we will create first, we'll take this scenario. That means we'll take like plant or employee master or anything as an example, and we will create all the UI applications, and basically we'll build a governance approach for this one, this master data. So in this process, basically the advantage is you will get creating a new scratch data model or staging areas, because for material master it's already there. We cannot create a new one for the same material master. So that's why always I prefer that we will take an use case where we will build this custom object using custom object framework. We will develop that one. So in this one itself, you will be covering 70 to 80% of the MDG concepts. After this, the next one is MM either extension or BP extensions. So because these are the already existing out of box objects. So what are the things that we can do at max? I can add some additional attributes, or I can enhance this one. Okay, so with this one, we will be covering the from the scratch how we can create the custom objects. Plus, we also covering that how we can actually configure or how we can do the customization for the existing objects. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So after this, I think, yeah, the first topic that we have is the data model topic. Okay, so which we will discuss tomorrow. So the data model, it will take, I think, 2 sessions for us. So we will develop our own data. What is data model? What is already available for material master standard objects? What we can create our own for the custom object. So this all the data model concepts we will discuss in tomorrow's session. Okay, any questions? Is this clear to all? Yeah, Rakesh.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a question on that pros and cons on the, can you recap that particular thing? Pros and cons of
Sure.
between the hub and core deployment, and under what, how to make the decisions, and under what scenarios when we'll go for it.
Sure, definitely. So let's take example. Okay.
Okay, Akshay, sorry to ask, did the session happen last week?
Last week, Sunday, yes, we have a session on Sunday, last Sunday.
Okay, because I could not join, so probably I have missed something here. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, you can go through that recording. So I believe it should be available. So you can go through that recording. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Now,
thank you.
yeah, no problem. So when it comes to that deployment options, so we are talking about two scenarios. One is co-deployment. One is hub scenario. So always hub means we should get this picture, MDG and transactional system. Co-deployment means single system where we will have the transactional activities, also MDG. Okay. Now let's talk about the co-deployment. What is the advantage, pros? Okay. So the advantage is we create all these reference. This is a major advantage. We create all that reference master data SPRO configuration in our transactional system. Here also we do this similar configuration over here. But in this case, my MDG sits on top of the same transactional system. So MDG always look into this configuration. So I no need to set up anything. But whereas in case of hub scenario, this is your ECC system. It always looks into the SPRO of this one. So I need to sync always this SPRO into this one. Okay. So this actually gives a kind of advantages to the co-deployment scenario. After that, the next point is, so this is one. And the second point is, once you complete all your governance process and everything, and once that data gets created, it automatically actually pushed into your underlying database. Once your the change request or once your changes are finalized, automatically the changes will get updated into your underlying database over here. Okay, so I no need to do any additional replication. But whereas in this hub scenario, the data will be replicated to the underlying database, that is my underlying application, but my transactional activities are happening here, so I need the data here. Okay, so I need to configure a replication from here to here. So that means there are some additional replications that you need to the same. Here in this case there is no replication, but whereas in case of hub you need a replication. In co-deployment you need a replication when you have another target system. Let's say for example you have another target system, from here to here the data will be automatically pushed, but to get the data into this system you need an additional replication. So here it will be one replication. In this case, if you have two target systems, here I need to do two replications, one to this one to this one.
So Akshay, here I have a question. So the replication happens from MDG or from the active area?
Active area. For now, you can assume it as an active area only. Okay. So because
which means that wherever the MDG has replicated into the active area, from there the but DRF is sitting in MDG, right?
Yeah, but so see, this is my staging tables, right? So all the process, governance process, everything is done. My data validations are done, data enrichment is done, everything is done. Only the steward or someone who finally approves that request, we call it as an activation process. So till then the material is in inactive state. Inactive state means the data that we have here is, we call it as an inactive data. Okay. So after that there is something called activation process. Once you initiate the activation process, that is the time the data will come and sit into your active area. Okay. So now I have my active records over here. The data that you have in your active area, we call it as an active record. This is an inactive record, which is undergoing for some changes. This is an active record, which I can use it for transactional purposes. So ultimately my data is available over here. Now I have two target systems. So I always, your replication takes from here, from your active record, active area, and it actually replicates the data to the target systems.
Also from the active, it is going into that. So
Exactly.
where is the DRF? What is the role of DRF? Is the one which is for
Exactly.
replication.
This process will be controlled by, basically in MDG layer itself, you have something called DRF framework.
Okay.
Okay. So what happens? Your DRF framework will read the data from active area and it replicates the data here.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Okay.
Got it. Yeah.
Fine. So now this is this is what, and after that, again another point is that because in case of hub scenario, if you are looking for an hub scenario, right, basically it's a it requires a separate system. Okay, so in case of hub, this is your transactional system and this is your MDG system. Okay, so in case of co-deployment, you have only one system, transactional system. On top of that one, we are enabling MDG functionality. So it's a separate SAP system. You need a, it also involves the cost and maintenance as well. Whereas there is no maintenance, maybe maintenance will be there from MDG point of view, but there is no additional cost required over here from the hardware point of view. Okay, so all these whatever we discussed till now, so these are actually in favor of your co-deployment only. But one important point is there which we need to consider, which actually gives a preference for us to take the decision towards hub, that is your upgrades from upgrade point of view. Okay, so what happens is, always as we see, we discussed, if you look at your this one as well, the okay, so you have your underlying, your MDG components has dependency with the version that you have your underlying ERP. Okay, so that means what happens is, in this scenario, let's say for example, this is somewhere EHP, the support pack EHP, for example 6.0. Now with this one, the version that you have is MDG, for example 9.0. For 9.0, this is mandatory, but your business decided that, okay, I wanted to go for an MDG 9.2 version. So then what happens, your MDG 9.2 version makes mandatory that you should go for example EHP 7 or something, not 6. To support 9.2, to activate 9.2, your underlying component also should get updated. That means we are actually having a dependency with our transactional. When you are going, this directly causes your upgrade for your transactional system as well. Maybe which business people may not like this, because it impacts your transactional things as well, and you need to activate, you need to do a lot of SPAW, SPDD adjustments on your transactional side as well. It requires a lot of testing. We never know, just because of MDG upgrade, we are also touching our transactional side as well. Okay, whereas assume that if I'm you going for an hub scenario, let it be there at EHP 6. Here in my MDG, I wanted to upgrade to 9.2. I can happily go for an upgrade here, EHP 7, something like this. Okay, there is no dependency. My transactional system doesn't get impacted because of my underlying this upgrade. Okay, so this is one of the important point which actually gives a preference to go for an hub scenario. Okay, and this is one. The another important technically, another important point is because in case of transactional system, what happens is there will be multiple activities are happening. Like you will be day in, day out, you will be getting lot of orders via iDocs or via some inbound request. There will be a lot of updates or processing happens in your transactional as part of the transactional activities. On top of that one, in MDG also, you will be getting the data and you will be initiating mass processes, bulk updates, everything. So when you assume that you have some 100 work processes, okay, 100 work processes at this particular system level. So if your MDG process is occupying 80 work processes, then you will left with only 20 work processes for your transactional activities. So basically there will be a bottleneck in terms of the process if both are happening at the same time. Whereas if I have two separate systems, So here I will technically, I don't have any dependency. If I'm running some mass processes in my transactional, if I'm running some mass processes in my separate MDG, there is no dependency each other. So that's where also from the system performance point of view also, it always better to have a separate system. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, again, at the DB side,
Isn't it a vice versa when it is in a co-deployed, like when you want to upgrade the EHP system, the simultaneously the MDG also supported should be, right?
yes. It's a both actually, in both the bidirectional that dependency you have. Okay, but if I separate both the systems, right? Whenever the transactional team wants to go for their upgrade, let them go upgrade for that one. And whenever MDG wants to go for upgrade, let them go for a separate this. So there is a no dependency between each of the systems or the teams.
Okay.
Great. Any questions? Any questions from anyone?
Hey, Akshay, there is one I have on the staging area, right? Suppose you are creating, like you said, a material involves various areas like finance, sales, and all those things, right? So, and as a prerequisite, there should be a finance data already available in the system.
Yes.
Now, when you're creating a new material, right? So, how is that new material when you are creating the new material? Is the MDG looks into the data finance data in the active area, or that will be there already in the MDG space?
Into the active area only, into the active area. So
it doesn't load that, right?
Exactly. So let's say, for example, here in my MDG here, ECC, I'm creating a material 100. So I wanted to maintain a valuation area.
Okay.
Valuation area, or as for example, cost center or GL account, something.
Yeah.
So these valuation areas and these GL accounts, cost center should be already available in my underlying active area.
Yes. Okay. So when you're creating a new material, it will just the moment when the user enters in the MDG as part of the creation, the cost center or GL or valuation area, it looks into the active table.
That's true.
Okay.
That's true. Yeah.
And during the change, it loads the entire record or the selected attributes.
No, entire record, entire your material will get copied into your staging area with all the plants, all the sales orgs, all the valuation areas, everything.
Oh, okay.
Because we never know which data that person wants to edit, right? So it will just copy that that entire record, and there might be some bunch of staging tables. It will store the data into the respective staging tables.
Or there is no selection like these are the attributes I want to maintain it.
No, there is no selection. So the selection in the sense where you have is what attributes you wanted to govern. That only that you will have a control, but you cannot control on the loading the data into your staging area. So into the staging area, the entire record will get loaded.
But suppose say that a particular material record has say 100 attributes, right? And of that 100 attribute, I'm only the customer says that I want to only govern 60 attributes.
Yeah.
So will all the 100 get loaded, or only that 60 get loaded?
100 will get loaded, but the 40 ones which are not part of the governance scope either will be in read-only mode, or as part of the UI configuration, you can hide them so that the person can see. But technically, in the backend, the entire record will get loaded.
Entire record. Okay.
Yes.
Got that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. Fine. I think, yeah, Sophian, I think you have any side, you have any questions? Okay, so if no further questions, let's start with the data model topic tomorrow. Okay, fine. Thank you all. Have a great day. Let's catch up tomorrow.
You too. Take care.
Thank you. Thanks, Akshay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for attending the session. I hope you all enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Also, feel free to ask your questions in the comment section below, and we will reply to them at the earliest.